Hello Sesh, the beard of Osos with the big orange hands. Yes, and today we have something here called the Umarex Trevox. In a packaging, I believe gives every retailer beads of sweat on their forehead. Anyone who has ever stored or shipped triangular things knows that you immediately go crazy. So triangular is completely useless. You sent... whatever. I was there, so I took them with me. So, let's carefully set the valuable container aside and take a look at the whole thing. Just because, look, there is a piece of styrofoam that needs to go because a thumbnail is being carved out of here. And this thumbnail, a drum, see that later. You can barely make out that something black is lying against a black background. Yes, this is a break barrel air pistol. Basically the simplest of the simple. And to appreciate that properly, I would say let's start with the usual paperwork. This is the Trevox. Shot by me, 10 meters, 10 shots, shot sitting, with a cheap red dot sight. Unfortunately, I got the cheap one. I should have taken the more expensive one because the cheap one wasn't that great, but I have to say, for such a 2001 cheap break barrel air pistol, I don't find it bad. But I have seen much worse, especially when I have to shoot something like this, which I can no longer do properly, you know. If we twist it a bit more, then everything will fit on the mirror. And I can still tell you from the past when shooting freehand, everything is on the mirror. Sure. Good start. Paperwork for me. So, Drew? There it is, Drew. It costs about $100 new, as always, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on where you look. And I snagged it for $65 at Egan. This has a PTB, registration, not approval for, 18. So, it's from 2018. Yes, approved is the wrong word. Why is there nothing here about the muzzle energy? Why didn't I enter that in my list? Guess I have to use my laptop again. Here, my 2001. Come here, dude. Look, there are still boxes of discs lying around here, already stacking up, under the mistaken assumption that I wouldn't need this shipping anymore. So shipping, not in the sense of mail, but shipping in the sense of over the broadcaster, over the air, to you at home. Umarex. You see I have it in here. Why don't I have it? Strange. Maybe I didn't save it. That would be possible. I selected that. Now I will first do things. Save is seen and share. This is the new function. You can now tap share here. Nano. Oh, you needed to use S for that file. And then you get it saved directly and easily. Replace existing arrow. I did it properly and then somehow forgot it. Pretty stupid. Few shots. 5.5 joules, 5.3, 5.4, 5.2, 5.5, 5.4, 5.3, 5.6, 5.55, 35.4. So you can say about 5.5 joules on average. That is quite a lot for a break barrel air pistol. So that's not the usual. Oh man, hardly anything comes out. But for an air pistol, that's fine. Very fine. And the only one that really comes to mind as stronger is the good old Mercury Model 25. Really came close to 7.5 joules. Yes, I would say let's proceed according to the usual scheme. I'll first read you the gun. Why is there a fingerprint? That's not possible at all. Trevox. Who is there? Drew's. That's everything that is written there. UX. The nice new logo from Umarex. A long serial number, caliber 4.5mm 177, F mark. Yes. Push to fire. That is apparently for the American market. There is a safety mechanism in it, specifically a manual safety, not one that you have to constantly disengage. Oh. Yes. Otherwise we have here a completely wood-free plastic grip, completely one piece including the trigger guard. The trigger blade is thick, solid, and completely made of plastic. As long as I have to be bad, as long as it holds, everything is fine. A huge screw here, and logically one there as a counterbearing. No, the trigger does not give me an adjustable impression. There is indeed a large Phillips screw, but I believe it holds the entire trigger together. If it should be adjustable, ask me again, why is there no hole in it? 2001? No, it is not a silencer. It looks very much like a silencer, but it is actually just a kind of... It sells better. One can now say that it is good for something, but in fact it just sells better. I must admit, it does feel better to cock. We have a rear sight here. That is adjustable in the side and in height. On the side with a hopefully clicked, yes, with a clicked screw in height, screwdriver. Mine is also turned quite far to the side. That doesn't really matter because, as I said, I had a red dot sight on it. I'll put it back in the middle. It just looks nicer visually. I don't like it when it's so asymmetrical, with such illumination. And the front also has illumination. Can you see that? I know I always cut off too much at the top. Whatever. So, with illumination, the front also has illumination. And is it square? It's mostly... I would rather describe it as roundish. Then I often hold it with the note that you are just a camera. I would never hold such a gun in front of your nose. Yes, that was quick. It's short and straightforward. You don't have to say much about it. Fold on air pistol. What do you want to tell about that? 2001. This closure is already easy. Even if the hand is shaking a little here, it's okay. Everything is doable. The huge, long barrel is definitely an advantage. So I'll hold on again. No, you can't relax without shooting a pellet into the landscape. And that's exactly what we will do now. Namely, a gigisha. By the way, it looks like new, this thing. It's once again one of those departments. Bought and then never touched. That's roughly how it looks. There's nothing wrong with it, no dents, no notches. The seals are practically new. You sand? A lot of advantages in the trigger. Now it gets harder. Just a little bit, just a little bit. It gets a bit more. Yes! So the trigger is not perfect. But I think for such a break barrel airgun, it's not bad at all. It doesn't match the quality now. So the trigger now from the Chaser, for example, or it is legally from the 2240. But for such a cheap part. Although $100 might not be that cheap, I think it's okay. Above all, one must consider that if there's a proper punch in it, a proper punch in relation to air pistols, 5.5 joules, that's already a statement for these things. And what's also nice is that there's a sight rail already on top. Because, for my standards, I can't shoot with an open sight. Bracket on, I now have shooting glasses. Then it looks a bit different again. Normally, I can forget about shooting with an open sight. That means for me, a red dot sight on a handgun is extremely helpful. I still consider a scope on a handgun to be nonsense. But I now consider a red dot sight to be absolutely appropriate. At least for old geezers like me. 2001. And it's nice when the sight rail is already there. Yeah. Come on, let's do another one. Somehow. I always feel like I'm going to pinch my hand here on the lever, which isn't true at all. But I always have hesitations when loading. That will probably hurt right away. But completely unreal. Irregular. Unreal. Misguided. Completely crazy. No idea. Yes, the trigger travel is quite long. But then it comes, and as I said, there's a bang in it. It also feels like a bang. So it's not like a killer recoil like with the big ones that have export springs, where only the transport transfer port is reduced. So it bangs, but not in a world-changing way. All good. Yeah, and now I feel a bit silly because we've been at it for almost 10 minutes. If I see it correctly, we are done with everything. Sighting device. Laptop, let's say laptop, tablet, values. Yes. So if I were to buy a firearm and say it has to be a break action, then this one would be an option. I still think the Chaser, for $80, or as I've just seen, for around $100, you can get the Chaser in a set, long rifle barrel and stock, short pistol barrel. And yes, I think that was it for the 100. It's of course more flexible, but you also need the famous CO capsules again, and always have the sealing problem. If you want to store the thing somewhere in a weekend house, where you ideally never need any parts, then a break action is of course indestructible. The capsules don't run out, the seals don't break, it somehow always shoots. Yes, no. That's really it. Short version today. It's worth the effort. So, thank you for watching, says as always the man who has to constantly drum up his camera anew. No, the camera is not drummed up, the camera is turned off with a finger, as that works best here. Thank you for watching, 2001.